my God. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Guys, I didn't know if anybody was actually going to join this, live. Lord, hair technical difficulties. Sorry, y'all. Okay, I have Peekaboo. Excuse me, my member Cash. Who else? Who else? Who else do I have? Chico, how are you, Chico? Thank you for joining us. Wim, how are you, Wim? Queen Bella, welcome, Queen Bella. Oh my gosh, thank you. Ooh, thank you so much to Sinner, who's been a member for 3 months and says, "Sweet, sweet justice. I was literally on the edge of my seat." Sometimes StreamYard does not let you see the members' highlighted comments, so I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that I see it here on my other device. Jen, how are you, Jen, my love? It's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. Let me shout everybody else in here. I see Pumpkin in the house. Okay, all right. Who else? Belinda, welcome, Belinda. Sue, awesome. Thank you, Bossy. How are you, Bossy? Puzzle to pieces. Oh my gosh. Anyone have any eggs? We don't. Not from this morning. This morning was kind of interesting. Good morning. Good morning. You're shocked, Amy. You know, it's 3 right now. So let me tell you guys where my mind is at right now. It was faster than the Johnny Depp trial. And this is a murder case. Lost in Space, shout out to you. Lost in Space was messaging like, "Yo, can you believe this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm watching it right now, yo. We're watching it right now." Um, I'm a processor, all right? And those that know me know that I like to process and I get into kind of like, the bigger picture things, and I'm able to do that with you guys, okay? And this is why I love the members that we have, and I love the channel because we're all very respectful about it. But it kind of just hit me today as all of this was going as quick as it was, 3 hours, right? I know Queen Bella, you're taking those words out of my mouth, okay? Just about the same time the OJ verdict took. I don't know if people realize that this man has been found guilty of murdering his son and his wife. I know we're all caught up on that. It took 3 hours and all that other stuff, and then the stuff that happened earlier in the morning and the eggs and whatever. But it took 3 hours, right? We get that. But he's guilty. He's been found guilty of the murder of his son and his wife. You kind of have to let that sink in. What does that even mean, right? I was very shocked. I was shocked, Chico. I was. But, of course, I got caught up on the 3 hours. And I know a lot of you guys had, we were talking a little bit about that 3 hours, right? But I was shocked as well. And then it kind of hit me like he's been found guilty of murdering his wife and his son. Hey, Chell, welcome. It was. It was. Hey, Dukes. So I like I said, I let things kind of sink in. I like to process that and understand and try to figure out what does that all mean at the end of the day, right? And it's huge. To be accused of a crime and then be found guilty of it is huge. I kept looking at his face. I think that there was moments where he was a little bit surprised. Mind you, this man has been practicing law for however many years, and he's always been on the other side, sitting next to his client. Now he's the client. He's the client. What do you make of that? You imagine the same courtroom where your what is it, great grandfather's grandfather picture is hanging up there, and he's watching, you know, this frame is there. It's just so weird. It is a life-changing thing. Yeah, you hope Buster has a support system. You know what, Cash? I'm not gonna lie, I thought so too. I thought a lot of us thought the same thing too. Absolutely. Of course she is. Shout out to Nancy Grace, who is now live. I'm sure there will be a lot of appeals. I'm sure, because you have to understand a lot of it is circumstantial. Now I wasn't following the trial to the T, okay? I do feel bad to a certain degree, because if you think about it, yo, this is a dynasty, right? Generations of generation. And but you have to kind of wonder, when did it go bad? When did all of this go, or has it always been this way and everybody's kind of been like this, you know? No one said anything. We've all been like this, and we've allowed it. And that has been the theme of it, right? That there will never be any accountability for position and power and money. Mm-mm-mm. It is crazy, Granny B. Shout out to Granny B. Right, but it makes you wonder, okay? The jury found him guilty. And this trial ran on, I think we went all the way to day 28. Tomorrow's day 20, because I mean tomorrow's sentencing. That's how quick they're going. You have to kind of wonder, what does that do? What does that mean? The reality and or what has happened today is that this man was found guilty of murdering his wife, shot 5 times, son shot twice. The son, his face, his head was, you couldn't even recognize him. And honestly, I have a hard time even comprehending to know that a father would actually do that to a son. Like I can't wrap my head around that. The idea that he would do that. And I think in my mind, that's why I want to say I don't think he's guilty, but that he was found guilty. It's just weird. Right, Pumpkin. How often can you get away with the same ish over and over? It's a serious moment, but y'all usernames are funny. Chill out. Yeah, everybody, we had some really interesting usernames in here. Word on the street, Alex attorney didn't want him to testify. Oh, Valerie. I wouldn't be surprised. It only gets worse. It's been the way that way for the family. 5 dead body is not a coincidence. Oh man. I'm just like, and again, I love that I can process what I'm thinking here, because I know you guys have been in the know about this trial and some of everything. But Wim, you have to ask yourself, like, why? What's the why behind this? I would like to see if this man has been evaluated. If there's been like a psych eval, I want to understand a little bit more. You think it would tinkle tits, it would take a sociopath absolutely to do it. There's no other way. But he's an addict. He stole, excuse me, tons of money. So that is your smoking gun. But and even then, I just I'm not saying that they got it wrong. I'm saying it's hard to comprehend how how a father could have done this to his wife and his son. It's hard. It's so hard. Right. I listened to those two. Did any of you guys actually watch Low Country? And now I'm like, well, now we know how the story kind of ends to a certain degree, right? I'll just give you a little quick review, okay? And let me ask you guys a question before I even get into that. I kind of want to know where everybody's at in the chat, all right? Hey, Petty, welcome. Um, Now that all of this is out here, okay, especially with Paul, do you guys feel any empathy for Paul and Maggie? Especially with Paul and the you know horrific murder boat accident thing that happened. Do you guys feel any empathy for this family at this point? Is there any empathy that you feel? No, he deserves to die. You mean, so let me rephrase that. Not for Alex. Empathy for Paul or Maggie at this point. Because let me tell you, if you guys remember, when the night of the boat accident, when Mallory Beach lost her life, right? Um, Paul had talked to his mom. He was intoxicated in that phone call. Okay? Keep that in mind. And so then I kind of go back a little bit to I wonder now that we know, or at least that he's been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, that the state proved their case. Do you guys feel any empathy for Paul? Chell says, I do have empathy. Okay, Sudi says, yes, I had tears in my eye. You kind of, like, Paul's life was cut very short. 22 years old. So was Mallory's, don't get me wrong. But Paul's life was also cut very short. Very short. So it makes you wonder just a little bit. Do you feel any empathy at all for the outcome of this verdict? For not the outcome, but like for this family at this point? What's happened to this family? William says Paul was a little monster. I know, but whew, he was he's been found guilty. He's been found guilty of the murder of murdering his son. You've become cold over the years. No rabbit doing her trickery here. Yes, I do know now. I'm just curious. I am curious to know. Can you imagine? Thank you. That's a great question. Can you imagine dad pointing a gun at you and shooting you twice? Shooting his wife 5 times. Amy says dad created a little monster. Paul didn't do anything. I'm saying he drove the boat. That's what he did. And that's what we had talked about. And him driving the boat intoxicated led to what happened to Mallory, to what happened to her. So people in that area always blame the Murdaughs, especially Paul, for what happened to Mallory. So now that Paul, his life was cut short at 22, how do you feel about Paul now? Michelle says, nope, an eye for an eye, as the father said in the Netflix documentary. Not sure about Maggie, but I can find empathy. I can't find empathy for Paul between the boat accident and being abusive towards his ex. Yeah, Morgan, Michelle, I hear you. I hear you. It totally sucks. Understands that they were a handful. One would hope that they would have hoped that they could have turned their lives around. Night Owl says, absolutely have empathy for Paul and Maggie. No matter what situation, they did not deserve the death sentence by a judge, jury, and executor, Daddy Dearest. I see you. He was just like his daddy. He didn't deserve it. Neither did Maggie. Paul was horrible at that time of the boat wreck. He was cruel, laughing at Mallory's boyfriend for crying, says Kat. I hear you. Hey, Bright Art. Paul was an entitled brat. I feel bad that the whole family was so sick and screwed up horror by the dad in many ways. Wow, bailing kids out of awful situations. They should have been punished for. The parents should have been punished for that. Hey, Dana. Absolutely. Ooh, yes. Yes. I thought I would start with that question before we go into the review because I know like Trace is asking me which documentary is better, and I'll tell you guys here in a minute my thoughts on which one is better. Um, children do learn from their parents, okay? So let's start with this HBO, okay? And I remember I watched an episode. It was a while ago, so it was a while ago, and it didn't really pique my interest as much. The first episode kinda really starts with the boating accident, as it did with Netflix. The thing that I had, the thing that HBO did was they did not interview, um, the people, the young people, right? Connor, Anthony, Millie was not interviewed. Morgan was not interviewed. Actually, Anthony was interviewed, but the other ones were not. So we really could not hear a whole lot from the others. It was truly just Anthony, Anthony's parents, and some of the other parents. But what Netflix did initially is that they started with these young people. And so it kind of set the premise for everybody. for HBO specifically, they really didn't go into like Morgan's side of the situation. They didn't really go into that. And I was wondering, I was trying to figure out like why that was. And truly couldn't really determine other than they were trying to establish that everything started with this boating accident. And a lot of people would maybe say that everything started with this boating accident. I will tell you, Dana, I will tell you. If you watch, I will tell you which one you should probably watch first. I'm confused. Looks like I have a lot to look at. Well, Hale, you got to tell me what you're confused at, my love. I'm not really sure. Do you want a place to start? Let me know. It is. It's a long history of a family and their entitled and long stint. Thank you, pretty sweet Pete. Thank you, guys. So it starts with just setting the scene for that. In HBO, the first episode, you do get to see a lot more of the police report. You get more of the history of the Murdaughs in the town. You get the complete breakdown that I think maybe HBO did better than Netflix. One thing that was said on HBO, and I will have to say that I did not necessarily appreciate this. Now that I've watched both of these documentaries, I see things a little bit different. They said this is what the HBO series said, okay? They said that the Murdaughs can have anybody disappear if they wanted to. That to me implies that whatever dispute might have happened, it could have definitely made anybody disappear. That's how I felt about that. So I sat there and I said, well, what exactly does that like? I didn't really know how to like. Are these rumors or is this something that actually happened? Aside from the other people that have had really bad encounters, Indigenous female rabbit. Can I get a shout out? Shout out to you, my love. So that was interesting. In the second episode, I sat there and I was watching a little bit because it continued to go to the boating accident. But one thing that they did very well is give a lot more content and time to Stephen Smith's story, which Netflix didn't really do a whole lot on. And I learned so much from Stephen Smith in that second episode that it completely upset me a little bit of what had happened, right, to Stephen Smith. They showed the scene of where they found Stephen Smith's body. Stephen Smith, immediately, the Murdaughs, all the Murdaughs, the people that run that area with the, Murdaugh name showed up to the crime scene and were kind of guarding it. It was a very eerie situation. Immediately calling it a hit and run when you can clearly see that Stephen's body was placed on the road, right? His shoes were on. There was no glass. There was nothing that was there that would have said, you know what? It was a hit and run. His car was far further down from the body. Stephen's body was in the middle of the road, right? The touching part, I think, out of Stephen Smith's story and situation is that they had an open casket. Open casket. His head was blunt force trauma, as you can imagine. Busted. The sister said in this docu-series that they chose to have an open casket for Stephen Smith because they wanted to do exactly what Emmett Till's mother did. They wanted to also have everybody see what everybody had done to their son, implying that the reason why he was murdered was because he was gay. A hate crime. That was pretty powerful when I heard that. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm seeing everybody's reaction. Yes. I don't know too many people. Lord, everybody's like, damn, 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 damn. Yes, damn, exactly. Exactly. sister said, and she broke, she's like, "No, we are going to have an open casket." His face, if it's blunt force trauma, you can imagine his face was just like half of his face was missing. Okay. They had an open casket when half of his face was missing. His father couldn't really look, couldn't get close to Stephen. He said, his sister said he decided to stay aside the room because he could not look at Stephen. But the choice was this, is that they wanted to make sure that the town saw what they did to Stephen Smith. It was very powerful. Very powerful. I think it gets even more overwhelming in this part too because Stephen Smith's father died shortly after Stephen Smith. He just kind of gave up. He gave up on life. HBO did a lot more interviews with the people in the town and people that had talked to the parents after the fact and all that other stuff, which was great. I think it brought a little bit more of the town input to this series, especially on episode 2, right? So the situation goes that Stephen's father had told Stephen's mom that he was seeing Stephen visiting him in his dreams. He was giving up. He died of a heart attack in his sleep. Stephen's mom believes that he died of a broken heart, but that he died especially knowing that he wouldn't necessarily know what happened to Stephen Smith. However, Stephen's dad would go into town and have conversations with these people and would say the Murdaughs killed my son because he's gay. Have you done a poll asking if people think Maggie killed the housekeeper? I'm curious how many people think that. That's a great question. I don't think I would be able to do it, Chico. Can you imagine? I mean, that's a huge thing to do. Open casket after blunt force trauma is a to do. And let me go ahead and do a little poll at the request real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm typing it up. Yes or no? I think his dad knew that there wouldn't be any justice for his son. Yeah, you really can die of a broken heart. It's a real thing. Yes, Kathy. Thank you. Um, you can. I give them praise because I would not have been able to do it. I didn't watch any of the documentaries, waiting to see till it's all over. Stephen's family must have been so strong. Give me 1 sec, guys. I feel empathy for all of them. No one wins here. No one says Gail. It's something else. Maggie was the only one who went to the hospital to visit the housekeeper prior to her death. Hey, do the right thing. Sinner said there's a troll. Let me know if there's a troll. um, I feel a part thinks she found pills, but another part thinks that she tripped over the dogs. My grandmother died 6 months after my mom died suddenly of an aneurysm. She was her baby, says Queen Bella. I'm going to be at the very closest. I going to be one of the closest votes we've had. Let me know what you mean by that, but let me check the polls. Whoa. Are we really half and half on 35 votes? And make sure you hit that like button, please. Please and thank you. It looks pretty even right now. We have 100 people in the chat. It looks pretty even right now. Oh, poll is closed. I see. Sinner. I was like, what you talking about? Alana says Stephen wasn't hit by a vehicle, but they do think he was hit with a blunt object from the window of a vehicle. The poll wouldn't let you vote. I'm not really sure why. Queen Bella says, why would Maggie kill the housekeeper? Hey, Kiba, welcome. Team Rabbit, thank you, Kiva, who's been a member for 8 months. Lord have mercy, thank you. And thank you for your support. And guess who's driving? All right, here's the problem, okay? I have to bring somebody's name up because it kind of goes along the lines, and not a lot of you guys have said in my comments, Rabbit, there's a lot of misinformation about these documentaries. There's a lot of misinformation. Hey, SW, a lot of misinformation is out there, and we just, we don't know what to believe. And I mean, a documentary is not a court hearing, right? So clearly there is going to be a way in which maybe things are misconstrued or put together to fit a certain storyline of a documentary. Absolutely. They did. They did. Somehow they did. And part of that is their financial crimes. So there's a YouTuber, and shout out to those that have recommended this YouTuber by the name of Eric Allen, who's a local from that area, right? And he decided to follow the Murdaugh story from the very beginning. From the very, very beginning. Yes. Hey, Lex, I don't think she killed her, but I do think that she shut her mouth because he told her that it was ooh, open her eyes. Okay, I got you. I got you. Hey, CL. So there was a theory that he was looking into as far as Stephen Smith goes, and it's not something that can be dismissed because even the family, when he interviewed them, acknowledged this. Stephen Smith was meeting people on dating websites, okay? He was doing this for work as well, all right? So, how did the Murdaugh name come up was through a rumor. It wasn't like somebody saw the Murdaughs. It wasn't anything like that. So as far as things being substantiated, that a Murdaugh did it, we don't know. It's reopened, it's being investigated. And I think it's only fair to put that out there because his family had also reported the same. That he in the weeks leading up to his death, he was quiet, he was secretive. He did say on this HBO doc, yes, fire, yes, Buster's name came up, but it did say, oh my gosh, SW, please relax and rest. Hey, Rico, please relax and rest, my love. They did say there was a girl that was in Steve's circle, one of the friends, who said something to the effect of like, if people find out who I'm dating or who he was talking to or messing around with, that it would shake the whole town, that the whole town would be shook, okay, shooken, um, off their houses and chairs and seats. That's how it was, right? That it was supposed to be somebody huge. That's what was said. So I don't know what to make of that. Was it a Murdaugh? We don't know. Has it been reopened? It has. But we don't know if it was a Murdaugh. We don't know if Bruce has anything to do with it. It was a rumor. That's where it started from. And I think it's only fair to put that out there. Stephen, Gloria, and Mallory, Paul, Maggie, they they competing with the Dan Clintons. Lord. um It is. Oh, thank you, Hale. So the house being sold, do you think Gloria's kids will get some money since no, I don't think so. I'm be honest with you, Kimmy. I think that it would not surprise me that if they don't get any money, if they don't see any money, which was that other thing that this HBO documentary did, it touch on that financial situation when it went on to Gloria Satterfield, okay? Which, by the way, these people, this is where I say, yo, I don't know. Well, he's been found guilty. Paul, or not Paul, I'm sorry, excuse me, Alec, not only is he guilty of murdering his wife and son, but he's a complete fraudster. Completely. Right? to take away from people that are in need. You mind you, people don't go to attorneys just to go kick it with attorneys. You know, you go to an attorney because you have a problem and you need a solution, right? That's how it would be. Lost in space. And that's a good point. It's like I'm not I am missing the motive. I'm also like I understand if we go back to Stephen Smith and the motive for his murder. Okay, maybe let's just say that Stephen Smith uh, was gay and had a relationship with Buster. Okay, let's just say that that's the case. All right, so they have to silence Stephen because if he tells the town that Buster is gay, that could very well hinder the reputation of the Murdaugh name, right? I'm just putting that out there. Netflix, the docu-series, did allude to there being a secret with that. So does HBO. But what I feel like is missing, especially because the YouTuber who's actually in that same area and went to investigate, pulled police reports, and was able to show that there's another theory out there about what happened to Stephen Smith. There's another theory out there, and we can't just ignore that theory. We have to be able to acknowledge it. Is it possible that Stephen Smith might have met somebody online and somehow something happened? Potentially. Could be. Because the Murdaugh name came through a rumor. Maybe, this is another possibility. Maybe somebody messed with him, okay? And maybe him and Buster were connecting some way, somehow. Something that HBO showed very well is that Stephen Smith was around this circle where the Murdaughs were at. You know, grew up with the Murdaughs, especially with Buster, right? They went to the same high school. Definitely was not like the crowd of the haves. They were more of the have-nots, and they figured it out. What to do and how to make themselves kind of stay together. I have a hard time with this one here, to say 100% that Buster had something to do with this because outside of a rumor, what else do we have? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah. Often with addicts, the motive is their head and not reality. They act with their delusions, right? Sometimes, and that's a great point to point out, I guess. We don't really know. We don't really know. With Alec, I don't know what would be the reason to off your I guess I don't know. Because insurance policies, I mean, my understanding is that they didn't even have one, which is crazy because I thought that they did. And given that they're attorneys and whatnot, I mean, they have an estate, but they, as far as like so and so pulled an insurance on so and so, I don't know. Do you think, Diane, do you think that Buster was potentially next? Alana says, does anyone think that Paul had installed cameras in the kennels? I think he did and caught something he wasn't supposed to see. I don't know. Well, Alana, a lot of people said that Paul was receiving death threats. And so this is why they had to um guilty. You didn't know it? It's you just got out of surgery. It's guilty on all counts, on all 4 counts. He was found guilty. It's not breaking news, it broke. But I'm kind of curious about this too. I'm having a hard time understanding outside of the people that did have a motive to do something like revenge. Um, why else would they hurt? And so then the idea of the cocaine cowboys kind of came about too, that this was a drug debt kind of gone bad. But then I thought in my mind, well, the debt, why would they off the wife and the son? Why not off Alec? Why not? Queen Bella, but they didn't even make that as a I didn't think that that was the motive, right? Queen Bella, let me know in the chat. Was that the complete motive as to why? What was the motive? Because I don't feel like that was. it. I don't know what happened. I only know that he's guilty since he was found guilty, but I still felt like there was reasonable doubt. And I will say I've had many times, I would have had a hard time convicting. I hear you, Mary. I hear you. I think that you think it's a lot of cover-ups and secrets. I just don't know if he's guilty of this crime. He was found guilty, but I just don't know if he was guilty of this crime. I'm just being honest. 3 hours to deliberate? 3 hours, guys. This is somebody's life. Like, you would think they would have taken longer. Johnny Depp trial took longer than this. And this is murder. This is murder. Okay. Chico says, I think Maggie found out and he got hella scared. Right. So on episode 3, they talk a little bit more about the murders, the timeline, the time frame, everything that went down and what had happened with the situation, right? There was something that was said, and I put it in the community tab, and it was probably the one quote. If we want to talk about motive and would Alec be able to do this, right? One of the attorneys that was interviewed for this HBO doc said, and it was kind of like my favorite quote out of the whole thing, because there were several quotes that was said, but something that really kind of struck me. If you're disrespectful to the lady that tucks in your kids at night to sleep and helps them sleep, what won't somebody do? What won't a person do if you're disrespectful? So if you stole money like he stole money from Gloria Satterfield, it wasn't just him, there was other people involved. They're also facing charges. Yeah, Wim, absolutely. If you are disrespectful to the lady that puts your kids to sleep at night, tucks them in, you stole money from this lady. Not only did you steal money from this lady, but from her children, right? You took this woman, well, let me stop because they have not been found guilty. But essentially, she died in your property. You made a promise. You did not follow through with that promise you took. You led everybody to believe that you were going to help this family, and you didn't. There's only so much evil shit that you can do in the world before things catch up. Right? What's done in the dark comes to light at some point, especially when it's exacerbated by a drug addiction. You know? Gen X says, "Hi, Rabbit. I'm still shocked." Everybody's a little shocked. Everybody. And Shredder, I honestly, Shreddertainment, oh, I love your name. I am, like I was telling everybody, I'm a processor. So it takes me a minute. Like, yeah, the verdict was read, and I had my, ooh, wow, what? 3 hours reaction. But I said, I have to talk a little bit more about this. I'm glad you're chatting about this. I think AM killed her because she found his pills and he wanted the insurance payout. See, but they didn't really go into it as much as I thought that they would. That's what I wanted to know. If the insurance payouts was a motive, or was it finding out? I would have even gone as far as, even though this was just also a rumor too, that she was going to divorce him. That was a rumor that was put out by People magazine or people.com. Was that ever substantiated? No. HBO talked about it. Netflix touched a little bit on it. As far as which one I like better documentary wise, I like HBO. I do. I like the way they're not HBO. I'm sorry. Netflix. I would prefer Netflix over HBO. Simply because I liked how it started and what they were able to get from that. You Gen X says, when you have time, look into the Mosley. You have time, research into the history of Mosley. It's a deadly one at that. Gen X. Thank you for the $5. And people have been saying that, and I'm not familiar with it. You know what is so crazy, guys? On the HBO documentary, look, and this is actually not just in the HBO documentary, this is in the prison phone calls. Buster and Alec are talking on the phone. And this was probably the saddest part too, because I would imagine, right? Like, I would imagine that any phone call with family would be upsetting if it's coming from a jail cell, right? Because it's not the situation that you would want at all. But there was a lot of entitlement to these phone calls. Alex suggested to Buster that he should go deer hunting at Mosley because nobody's been there and this is such a good season to do it. Buster's like, no. Alec is like, well, do you mind if so-and-so attorney goes down there? Attorney friend. And he's like, well, he doesn't know what to say. He suggested his son to go hunting, deer hunting at Mosley, the same area where Paul and Maggie had been murdered. Go hunting. It's probably quiet. No one's been up there. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know. To anyone who's been following this, wasn't it one of Buster's roommates found beat to death, still in stuff? I don't know about any of that. Ooh, my goodness. Lord, please don't tell me that there's another murder in this situation, because then Buster's going to be on that hot seat too. If your wife lives in a different town, different house, it's not going well, it's a sinner. And that's what was said, that they weren't sleeping together. They still, but HBO said they still had a lot of love for each other. There's still, good night text messages, yada, yada, yada. But they still had a lot of love with, but you're sleeping in a separate room, separate house, separate bed. You have to text each other to go to the same spot after how many years of marriage? If you're literally living in a separate property, I don't think things are going well. I would conclude the same. You know? I don't know who, I mean, if you have the money to separate your assets that way, great. I just have a hard time with that. Period. They say they had no proof of it. They have no proof of anything. And even the conversation when an alleged attorney, we don't even know if that actually happened. Gen X says she doesn't have the HBO one in Canada. I am not watching the one in Hulu. I think I'm done. I'm letting you know. Wow, Gloria's kids, Gabe already been paid by the firm and the bank in millions. Have they been paid back? I didn't think they were paid yet. I thought they were still waiting. I think they're going to have to liquidate all of their assets to pay at least something towards the financial crimes and lawsuits. Yes, and the people that they stole from was sad. And like Wim said, I think they were probably done with this, family. Yeah, we'll definitely have to look into that one right there. I'm kind of curious to know. Something new to me that adds more questions for the Buster side. Yeah. Hey, KJ. Gen X, do you know who is possibly, I think the property has already been purchased because that's what was said. It was said, actually, it was said that somebody already bought the property and they let the trees grow out. Gen X says AM was business partners and friends with the previous owners who was a weed dealer, Airstrip Landing, who was unalive. AM bought the whole estate for $5. Really? See, these people, man, this is crazy. Purdy says, Rabbit, it hurts me for Buster today when AM didn't mouth any kind of devotion to his son. Like, I love you and I'll see you, nothing. I think they didn't know how to react. I saw that too. And I was actually doing like a little split screen, just trying to understand like Buster's face, Alex's face. I don't think it's hit them yet. Mind you, you've had Alec who calls in and is complaining about the canteen at the jail, this and send me $28. Can you imagine? And I'm just thinking in my mind, yo, this is crazy. Here's an attorney who has probably snorted up so much whatever or opioids or whatever he was doing, right? Right under his nose. To not be able to have $28? This is sad. Hunting was a code. I think Paul may have killed Gloria, but not Maggie. I did read about asking if Buster wanted a hunt, very odd. Mosley is 1,700 acres of a lot in a swamp. And is it listed? I thought it was sold for $4 million. Leslie said Maggie was going to leave him. Yeah. It just seems like there's just so much, like, trying to differentiate between the rumors, and this is why I had to mention, and shout out to that YouTuber. You guys have to check out his channel if you have not, because he does this breakdown of this whole case, and they're not very long videos. They're about 25 videos and stuff like that. To me, HBO, um, it was okay. It was informative. I think I would have been fine if I just watched the Netflix version, but to me, HBO kinda, it was a lot of information. Especially in the financial stuff that I didn't even know, but some of it, just like Netflix, you would have to kind of sit back and figure out what is truth and what is false. It's not sold, it's for sale, 3.9 million. Alex's brother was caretaking it. It was under contract by the courts until trial ends. Okay, thank you, Sinner. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You didn't see it? So I don't know. I don't know if I would recommend HBO. If you have nothing else to do and you just want to watch something, go ahead, watch it. That's how I feel. But I will say that I think one thing HBO did very well is highlighting Stephen Smith a little bit more. But they only went surface level. They didn't go into this piece of, was he meeting people on dating apps, to maybe, like, it was almost like the narrative and the script was, we're only going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about other potentials because Alex Murdaugh's already on trial. We got to make this about Alex Murdaugh. So to me, it's like it does a disservice, because what if Buster didn't do anything in this situation? We're just assuming that that's what it is. And I don't like that. We need to find something that would connect these two. I don't know. Trey says, "More money, more problems," but I wouldn't mind finding out for myself. Oh, Lord. Okay. That Snapchat video is so chilly to hear Maggie and Paul talking. Then you hear Alex's voice, kind of semi-aggressive. Right. Right. I I don't know. Oh, thank you. Absolutely. I feel like he will get another trial. And the reason is there were so many. Yeah, I feel like there's going to be several appeals. Okay. I feel like today is an example of the egg lady, um, was interesting. There's going to be several appeals, you know? Hey, Vic, um, Mosley has like 3 mortgages. So after those are paid, won't be much left to repay his debt. Oh, I can't wait to see future interviews with Rogan. There'd be more. He would know if Paul had installed cameras in the kennels. That should be interesting. That's where I stand with that. I don't know how. I'm on the fence about the HBO doc. It gave me new information, but I don't know. I don't know. If you have nothing to watch, go ahead and watch it, and you tell me how you feel about it. Egg lady gone. That was a quick verdict. I know. Maybe they were hungry. Well, I mean, they didn't order dinner, right? So maybe they got hungry or something. They said, well, the egg lady left. So, hey, sweet Jules. Sorry, guys. My sinuses are acting up now. I don't know why. Um, it's crazy. 3 hours. 3 hours. 3 hours, right? I double checked. Maggie was still listed as sole owner of Mosley as of 6 years ago, says Sinner. Who's the egg lady? The egg lady was juror number 785. Is that right, guys? Is that the number? Juror number 785. Um, yes, I was. I was. There was like almost 3,000 people throwing eggs in the chat, which was hilarious. It was hilarious. Um, juror number 785. Juror number 785. Yes. Was talking to the ex-husband, talking to people. It was said, I think she was talking to people from SLED too. Um, Holding conversations about the hearing and giving her opinion about the evidence that was shown. And so that information got to the judge. When you are serving in a jury, you're not supposed to say anything. You're not. You're not supposed to you're not supposed to talk about the case. Not with your husband, not with your children, not in confession at church, not with anybody. You can't. Lady Webb's Egg Lady. Yeah. So then Egg Lady, it was almost like she got fired. Oh, Leslie, thank you for the $15, my love. She says, "Love you, Rabbit in chat." Egg Lady got fired. Like, they called her. They said, "Juror number 785 come up," and they read her why she got fired. They let everybody know. And she's they're asking her if there's anything in the room that you might have left. Like, she said, "Well, my bag and then my eggs, my dozen eggs." Because she can't go back there. They have to get her bag and her eggs. So, dozen eggs, and that's where everybody was kind of laughing, and that became kind of the joke of the morning. So even the judge was kind of having fun with this situation. So she was able to take her dozen eggs. I guess she was going to share her eggs with everybody. That would have been dinner that night. That would have been dinner, you know? Yeah, they did. They had a hearing. They had to record everything. Absolutely. So the judge said the accusations was muddy, but they had to let her go. I mean, I would let her go. I would have let her go, right? But then again, hey, that is the simplest matter. Now, we did stream it earlier if you want to go watch it. It was in the morning. You'll see it says the Egg Lady or something, and it'll tell you exactly what she said and what happened. But it was an interesting moment. It had everybody chuckling in the courtroom. So yeah. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about something because I got like maybe 5 minutes here before I head out. There was something on my community poll that I want to ask you guys about. Let's see. And I want to show it to you guys because they're saying oh Lord, I already have 149 votes on this topic. Let me show you guys. Was Aaron Carter murdered? 66% said no. 34% said yes. Well, Aaron Carter's mother came out and actually released photos of the whole scene. They meaning mom is saying that he was the victim of a crime. They're saying it's foul play. Now, is the agency, is law enforcement calling that? No. They're saying something about the scene looks very interesting. I don't know what to make of it. I've seen some of the pictures, but I don't know why it would. I mean, they said he died of an overdose. That's what it was labeled. Yeah, I was just reading the article about Aaron. Those photos are awful. There's some photos in there, guys. Very awful photos. I don't even want to show them here. I want to see them and then be able to determine whether um, I'm going to check it out or not. I'm a little concerned about it. I'm a little concerned about it because I don't know. Maybe, let me see. Hold up. I don't know. Let me see what it says before I head out real quick. Maybe I'll bring this article up. Yeah. Literally 9 hours ago, 4 hours. Rolling Stones is talking about it. They're saying, so the police is saying that there was no foul play, but mom is sharing like the graphic photos of the scene. Um, I don't want to share them because they're not even available like that. Let me see. See if I can find them. I'm a little concerned about showing them because we don't want to get struck on it. Yeah. What do you guys think? Foul play? But no cost, says Beth. That's what I thought. There's photos. It suggests. I think the girlfriend should have gotten to go in the house after he died. Respectfully, yeah. Um, No cause of death release. You think it was an accidental overdose? The photo's really messed up. I'm gonna check them out. I just don't want to show them here. We have so many eggs. I don't have it. Oh my gosh. Sus vibes from Aaron Carter's housekeeper. I live about 15 minutes away from chicken processing plant and they give their eggs away. There's an overabundance. Look near you. We'll definitely keep that in mind. Lord, don't even. No. No. Yeah. I mean, she didn't do a good job because clearly he's not here. I agree, sus, the house yeah, I don't know what to make of it. Um I don't know what to make of it, you know? I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens and what develops from that, but let me know your thoughts. You think it's foul play? You think it's foul play? Yeah, something's up. Something's up, but I don't know. If they're saying overdose, I'm kind of wondering and what they have other than the photos, what else? It's just weird. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna head out because I gotta head out. I feel like I'm getting a little congested too, so I have to go tend to myself and then tend to baby buddy, the housekeeper, and Mel are both sus. Ooh, okay. We'll keep an eye out on that story and see what happens. Just looks at the photos. Is that poop all over that's oh Lord, tinkle tits. I don't know. The GF emptied the house, all of his belongings. Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, you guys have a great night. I'm gonna head out. I gotta go get some rest. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.